All right, Lauren, let me know if this is working. I know you're looking out for us. I see us in the Facebook group now. Happy Thursday, I almost said Wednesday. Happy Thursday, pros. It's almost Friday. I'm Chris Weldon. I'm one of the community managers with Housecall Pro. This is Pro Power Hour. This is something we do every single Thursday at 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. I can usually expect us at 3. I know last week we were 15 minutes late. I'm getting the hang of this Zoom thing. This is a new series we've been doing since late May. It's kind of, you can think of it as like a training session or an onboarding session that you can come to every single week. You can also go back and refer the recordings. They live in the Facebook group. And so every week we take a different feature. We walk you through it. We talk about the benefits, why you might want to use it, who it fits, and then we usually do a demo of some sort. We've had some of our product managers on as well, when they've been able to talk about enhancements that we're making. They've been able to answer a ton of questions that myself and our onboarding specialist might have had a harder time answering. So really a good time for you to come get a refresher if you're an older pro or if you're a new pro. Really just learn Housecall Pro in and out. So I encourage you to be here every week or catch the recording. Drop your questions in the thread, whether you're watching this now or later. We'll make sure we answer those. And every week we partner with an onboarding specialist. Phil is kind of our go-to. He's been with us for a few weeks now. You probably recognize him if you've been tuning in with us. We've had some others on as well. Phil, as I always do, I'll give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and then we can get going.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Hello everybody again. I'm Phil. I'm one of the onboarding specialists. I've been here for about 3 years. So if you've gone through the Max or the Max Plus, if you have either one of those accounts, you've probably talked to myself or one of my teammates. We're very excited this week to show you guys the new pricing forms. We've had a lot of people, specifically in cleaning, painting, as well as landscaping, asking for a new way of looking at the invoices and the estimates and being able to tailor those estimates and invoices a little bit closer to how they've normally run their business, possibly in another program or how they've done it on their books for years. So really excited to show you guys this. I got a couple different examples, but first, as always, we'll kind of run through a little slide deck and show you all just basically what this feature is.
Yeah, as Phil's getting that up, I've got the thread open. If anybody has any questions along the way, we'll stop a couple of times and get those answered.
Sounds good. So, yep, for the pricing forms, again, just kind of a rundown of how this is going to look. I'll talk about the 4 different types of pricing forms there are, how that's going to relate to online booking, because this is another thing that people have been requesting for similar, for kind of that intake form when it comes to online booking. And then I'll go ahead and demo it, show you how we build one, how one's going to look when we look at it in online booking, and then we'll take some time for questions. Obviously, I'll stop along the way to see if there are any out there. So the first one is quantity select, and this is going to make sense when I kind of show you where this is, but you can find your pricing forms. If you go to your price book, you'll see on the left-hand side that there is a new option there. It even has a little alert right there letting you know that it's a new feature. It just says pricing forms. So with the quantity select, what this one allows you to do is basically set up a specific service that you're going to provide, and then basically put in a quantity of how many times you're going to have to do that. So one that I commonly see for this one is for people with cleaning businesses, because before it was kind of hard to say, hey, we're going to have this price for 1 room, 3 rooms, 5 rooms, whatever. Now with our quantity select, you can go ahead and create one option for bedrooms, one option for bathrooms, one option for garage, so that way you can just go ahead and have a price for each one of those, and then your customer can select how many bedrooms that they want to have serviced, how many bathrooms they want to have serviced. So kind of makes it a little bit easier than actually having to have a line item or have the original item in your price book and just going off of that quantity base. The next is the numerical range. I've seen this more for painting as well as landscaping, occasionally with some cleaning, but it's where you can go ahead and say, hey, for between 50 square feet and 1,000 square feet, we're going to do this price. From 1,000 square feet to 2,000 square feet, we're going to do this price. So it gives you that ability to create a range so that your customer can then go ahead and say, hey, this is how many square feet my property is, and so this is how much it's going to cost for that particular service. The next is multi-select. And so for this, it gives you kind of your customer more of an a la carte style. And you'll see in one of the options that I provided, this works for almost every industry across the board, in which you can have certain options of what you particularly do as a service. And then that way your customer can select which ones that they want, and it will create a subtotal for that particular job. Then there's single select. What I've mostly seen this for, I've mostly seen it with cleaning companies, but other companies have gotten a little more creative with it. But again, the one I most commonly see, as we kind of have here in our example, is pets. So even in one of my demos, I'm going to show you is like, it's more of a question for yourself. So if we're doing a cleaning at somebody's location, do they have pets or not? If they have pets, maybe that includes an extra fee on top of it. Or we can go ahead and say that there's no pets at this location and therefore there's no need for an extra charge. But again, I've seen people get more creative with different ways to use this single select option. So that's really just kind of the forms itself and how it looks within the price book and as you start to build them. So now we're going to talk about how that this carries over to online booking and kind of see how the customer is going to see this. Again, we will demo this at the end of the slideshow. So for all of you that are familiar with online booking, when you look at online booking in your price book, there is the booking section. So it allows you to go ahead and put in what the time range of that particular service is. So for most common examples I see, again, with cleaning services, landscaping, they're usually putting 4 to 8 hours on for their full services. When it comes to the breakdown of the services, that can obviously vary, but you still have the control of deciding how long that this service usually takes, so that when a customer selects it, one, they have an understanding of how long it's generally going to take, and two, your schedule is already going to be blocked off with the time that you've allotted for this particular project. So if you've gone through kind of the demo or at least seen how it looks to the customer when they're doing online booking, it's going to look very similar, except now with the pricing form. As we can see here, we have the couple of different options for the pricing form. When you look at the what I always call the quote unquote online booking menu, your pricing forms are going to be right at the top. And then all of your other services that you would typically list are listed below from your price book. So here's an example. We can see here for the quantity select over here. As I mentioned, the bedrooms is the most common example. So a customer can select as many bedrooms that need to be serviced. The numerical range, as I discussed, is kind of, you're dealing with sizes. So in this example, we have the size of the home between 1 and 750 square feet. The multi-select over here, which I mentioned, is for the a la carte style, so that way we have here, fridge cleaning, oven cleaning, interior windows, whatever other options that you offer. And then there's also single select. So as I mentioned, some people have gotten creative and is this your first time cleaning? So maybe we'll go ahead and offer a little bit of a discount on that first time so that we entice them to hire us for more projects. Other examples, as I mentioned, is kind of that pets or no pets. Different options are available with that single select option. So before the demo, just some frequently asked questions about these pricing forms. So how to provide a discount based on the frequency of the jobs and how do we apply it within the pricing forms? So very similar to what I've seen people do when they are doing their service agreements and service plans is that sometimes they'll have one particular service plan, or in this case, a pricing form that is at one price. Then they will go ahead and create another pricing form for, say, their friends and family, first responders, military, veterans, whatever the case may be, and it's already set to a more discounted rate. Then you can also even have another option. So if they want to do cash, check, or other form of payment, you can go ahead and set up these pricing forms to reflect what kind of discount that you are particularly offering. Another way you can do this is that if they go ahead through the pricing form and that job is created, you could then go onto that job just like you normally would and apply a discount right there at the job level. Another common question that we've gotten is can we tailor our pricing forms to a specific customer? Unfortunately, not at this time. That is something that we are looking at and might be something that we roll out a little bit later. But as I kind of mentioned, at this time, you can create as many pricing forms as you need. So if you do want to customize it individually for a customer, at this time, you would just simply have to create a pricing form per customer. So before we go into the demo, Chris, any questions?
I don't see any questions right now. I do see we have a few people watching though. So pros, if you have any questions along the way, like I mentioned, just put them in the thread. I'll make sure to stop Phil somewhere during the demo. Larry, I see you're here. Great to see you. But yeah, we can keep going.
Sounds good. All right, so going into a little bit of a demo. As I mentioned up here, first, you would want to make sure that your pricing forms are available. So always make sure that when you go to your account settings, there is a place for online booking for your available pricing forms. So these were the ones that will be listed for your online booking. And also, as I mentioned before, if we go to our price book, there's the new little feature right there for pricing forms for you to go ahead and start creating them. So I have 3 of them down here. We'll just kind of go into just showing you how it's going to look as you build one from scratch. So add a new pricing form, very similar to how we would add a service or add a category within our price book. So we'll just call this Service X. Description. Can add an image just like we would for our services and materials. You can automatically add this to new jobs and to new estimates, and you can also list this as taxable services. Now, as I mentioned, here's the booking form right here. So if we want this to be on our quote unquote online booking menu, we would flip the switch over here and then go ahead and put in our duration of how long this particular service is going to take. For the fields, as we've gone over all 4 of them in the slideshow, here's how they look in real time. So for the quantity select, if we go ahead and select that option, we can go ahead and say our common example is bedrooms. And we're going to say, you know, that is, I'm just throwing numbers out there, $100 a bedroom. So we can then also add another field. So here is where we can go ahead and add another quantity select if we want to keep that one going for bathrooms, garage, whatever the case may be. Or we can go into our next option, which is that numerical range. So if we're going to go ahead and say, you know, square footage of the house, we'll say, you know, from 50 square feet to 1,000 square feet, we'll do it for $300. And our next option, 1,000 and up, let's say maybe to 2,000, and we'll make that one $450. So you can keep adding to that list and you know, as high as you need to go and break it down for any other form, any other measurements. But again, what we most commonly see is with square feet. Adding another field, as we talked about, there is the multi-select, which is the most common one that I've seen being used with these pricing forms, because again, we can go ahead and make our options. I put in a la carte, but if we want to go ahead and say, you know, clean the fridge, that's going to be $50. And clean the oven, that's going to be $75. One more for good measure. Clean the fridge. We'll also make that $75. So there, we'll see when we get to the customer view, how the customer can go ahead and select the options that they want to choose from the multi-select option. Then the last field is, as we mentioned, the single select here. It's pretty straightforward, just putting in the name of it here. So I'm going to say, you know, pets on the site, that's going to be an extra $50. What I did notice is that if you're going to do an option like this, it's always best to go ahead if you're going to say, hey, there's pets on site, to also include one that says no pets on site. Because when we go ahead and start to select these options, specifically from a single select, if there isn't that other option available, the really only choice that they're going to have is pets on site, if that makes sense. So always, if you're going to offer a service, offer one with a price that is at zero, that doesn't have that, so that the customer can have that option if you are doing single select. So preview and save. So this is very similar to what the customer is going to be able to look at. So if they decided to go ahead with the quantity of rooms, you'll see that the subtotal starts to go up with each particular line item as we add to it. Square footage, we have our different options here. So if we're going to say 1,000 to 2,000 square feet, there's the new pricing right there. If we're going to have those a la carte options, we add them and it will be added to the subtotal. And then to kind of clear up what I was just talking about for options, if pets, see, it's a little bit easier if they have pets on site, no pets on site, because otherwise there would just be pets on site and this would just be left blank. So it might get a little confusing for your team. So again, I recommend if you're going to offer an option, offer one that says no option. All right, now we go ahead and save it. Field options are required. I think that's this one. So let's go back. And we'll just remove it. There we go. So now it's saved. And now it's in our price book. So here within the pricing forms, you can see all of the pricing forms that I've created, but you also have access to all the ones that you create within the past, ones you'll create in the future. So now let's take a look at how this is going to look from the customer standpoint when they go through your online booking menu. So if we go up to online booking, and we'll go to preview. So when the customer goes ahead and selects book online, as I mentioned, all of your pricing forms will be at the top, followed by all of the services from your price book. So if we're going to go ahead and say, let's go with the home cleaning service here. So just kind of following along with the example, the customer would look at this and see, all right, how many bedrooms do they want to have a full service? Well, all right, two bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and no garage. Already they can start to see a price starting to generate up there. There's the add-on features. So if they want to go ahead and say, yeah, I want the oven cleaning, I want the microwave cleaning, but maybe not the fridge and the freezer cleaning at this time. And then again, down below for that single option, let's just say that there's no pets on site. So they can go ahead and mark that. There's no additional fee for that. We'll go ahead and hit add to booking, and they'll kind of go through the process just like they normally would with online booking. All right, put in all their information. And there's the breakdown. So just similarly to how we do online booking, they'll get the breakdown of each particular service that they asked for, along with the pricing that goes with it. And once they hit book my appointment, that sends the confirmation email to them. That also sends the confirmation email to you. I did just get the notification on my phone that a job has been booked online through that pricing forum. So how is that going to look when we are looking at a particular job? So let's go ahead and put in a customer. And we'll say there's the date. You can even say, let's go ahead and assign it. So to go ahead and add some of the pricing forms, you should be able to go up to your price book. And add the pricing form. Uh, Actually, it should already be on it. Let's pull up the job. I don't think that's it either. While I'm pulling this up, Chris, are there any questions?
Don't see any questions. See we still do have a few people watching, but no questions. Y'all, if you do have any questions, no question is dumb. Ask away. While we're figuring this out too, I just want to touch on pricing forms are great. Like we mentioned for cleaners especially, but maybe you do pressure washing, maybe you do gutter cleaning. This fits that industry really well as well.
Okay, let's try this again. So home cleaning service, we'll add a couple of options.
Tony, I see your question. How would this work for HVAC? It's a great question. I really can be used across industries. Cleaners will use it heavily, I'd imagine, but in HVAC, I could see this for your maintenance calls. Maybe if you have an ongoing maintenance plan that you want customers to sign up for, you want to collect some information about the size of their home, or about the system they might have. That's a great question. Lauren, I know you're tuned in with us. Do we have any HVAC pros we know of that might be able to provide some advice? We'll look into that, Tony. We'll get you some folks. And Phil, I don't know if you have any suggestions as well.
So I was going to say is that what I would ideally use for HVAC companies, it would be similar to the service plans where with the add-ons, if you're going to do a la carte style. So do I want to service one particular unit or several units? Is it going to be routine inspection or, an actual install?
Yeah, duct cleaning, Tony, as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure why the job isn't coming through. Uh, Any other questions?
Not at the moment, but I am standing by.
Okay. That might be something that has to do a little deeper within my account. I thought that maybe switching up the online booking would changed it, but it's not pulling it over.
All good. I'm also gonna drop the help articles. So if anybody decides to set it up and they want a little bit more written instructions, we've got those for you guys as well.
Cool. While I keep playing with this, I know that there's a couple of questions that came in earlier. Some of them just want to kind of answer is, explaining what this is for. As we kind of mentioned at the beginning, it's great for just about any industry, and allowing to give more of your customers more of an option to go ahead and select what services they want without having to go through your entire price book. Any videos demonstrating the pricing forms, we're going to post this one, and Chris said that he will also mention he's going to add all this stuff from the help center and understanding the difference between price books and pricing forms, how to set them up with online booking. So that's what I was showing here within the demo. Really, again, as I just mentioned, the difference is that your price book and your customers have access to whatever you're going to offer online through online booking, just based on whatever services you're going to allow it for them to see. Otherwise, there's the pricing forms that already kind of have the breakdown of what you already do. So it's a little bit cleaner and makes it easier for your customer to select what options that they want.
Tony, to your question here about asking about any other features, you can drop some questions in here. That's no problem. Lauren or I can follow up, or while we've got Phil here still, maybe we can answer. Do try to keep it to the topic, but since we got a little bit of time,
For
not.
sure.
Jen, it's good to see you. Are you using pricing forms at all? Just curious. We had somebody ask about how they would use it in HVAC. That was Tony, actually. Not sure if you have that activated in your online booking, or I imagine you're using online booking, Jen.
Yeah. No, also be a great time to answer any questions about online booking.
Yeah. And a quick reminder too, this is for V2 of online booking, our second version of online booking we released last year. If you're on the old online booking, pricing forms do not work with the old online booking. So if anybody's like, I don't have this option, you got to switch over to the new online booking. Tony, you're asking about the price book description coming. I did announce about an alpha program we have going on right now for our HVAC, electrical, and what's the other one? Plumbing and plumbing pros. It is an alpha right now. It's like set up, it's a whole price book set up with homeowner descriptions. Just a little bit more homeowner friendly. If you are interested in that, I can get you signed up. We'll turn it on in your account. Also a good time for me to promote our webinar that's happening next Wednesday. It's our mid-year update. That's going to be happening during the same time as Whiteboard Wednesday. It's at 11 Pacific, 2 Eastern. I highly encourage you to attend that. It's going to be a live webinar, so you can join us on Zoom. It's a little bit better on Zoom. We'll be able to answer your questions quicker. Our product team will be on Zoom, so they'll be able to see those questions faster. I'll be on Facebook as well, in the live feed, checking in. But Lily and Rachel Bowman will be leading that session, and we'll have a couple of product managers on. Really just a good time to get the lowdown on all the features we've released this year and kind of some of the updates that are to come later on in the year. We have job templates. I teased that a few days ago. We'll be talking a little bit about our new AI stuff. If anybody's interested in our AI add-ons, that'll be coming soon. Lots of good stuff. There's a whole list of features. I'll probably be posting about that tomorrow.
Cool. So I did manage to pull up how it's going to look on an invoice. So I will go ahead and show you all. So what I did is to order the pricing form, to have it put onto the job, is it needs to be added to all future jobs at this time. And so what I've gone ahead and done is, you know, in the past, I used to be a DJ. So here's my little DJ for hire over here. And so when we pull up the invoice, it's already going to have all of the options. Or if we pull up the job, it's already going to have all the options. So that way, when your estimator or your technician goes out to the location, they don't have to, you know, type anything out. So another thing that makes this a lot more user-friendly on all of your teammates, so that we can go ahead and select which options we're going to need. And that way they don't have to type anything out. They don't even have to put any prices in. It's already there for them. And then it's really just that easy, as I just kind of demonstrated. And so then if the customer wants the estimate or the invoice sent, we can just go ahead and send it right off to them. So,
Pros
yeah.
and other questions before we go. So we got a few more people now. Yeah, if anybody's curious about the price book I was talking about earlier, there's a thread about that. Lauren, thank you for dropping the link. And if you're catching this later, you got questions about pricing forms, drop them in here. We'll be sure to answer them, whether you drop that question 1 minute after we end the live, or 3 weeks after we end the live. We'll be monitoring the thread. We'll get your questions answered. suggest if anybody has any suggestions, if there's any features you want to learn, Tony, if there's anything that you need help with, we're open to your suggestions on topics for the following weeks. It's every Thursday at 3 Pacific we do this series. So if there's a feature you're struggling with or you want to learn more about, let me know, let Lauren know, drop it in these threads. We're open to your suggestions and feedback. But otherwise, I think that's gonna be it for today.
Really quick before we do send everybody off, I want to take a step back and say that you do not need to add it for all future jobs. That's just how I was able to pull it up quickly so that I can show you all. But actually, if you do go over to add a service, your pricing forms actually sit up here at the top. So it's instead of having to dig for it or add it to all future jobs, you do have the ability to click on add a service. And if we're going to say landscaping, there's the pricing form right there. So again, makes it easier for your team to just pull up the form with all of the options already in there. A little bit more dynamic than using templates, again, because you can have your different a la carte features and these other options to provide for your customer. So just wanted to clear that up.
Sweet. Thanks for clearing that up. Yeah, Lauren, thanks for dropping that comment as well. If anybody's seeing this later, drop your suggestions. We appreciate it. Phil, really appreciate you doing this with us every single week. I see Larry. I would like to see more about how adding this to jobs automatically works.
Sure. It's very similar to checklists. So I'll go ahead and share my screen again. And so if we go over to our price book and we go to our pricing forms, I'm going to go into this landscaping one. So there's the option right here, very similar to the checklists of automatically adding to new jobs and to estimates. So if we're going to go ahead and say that that's the option that we're going to have, we'll preview and save it. I'm just going to quickly turn this one off so we don't have too many on one form. So now we just have the landscaping. If I go to new, start a new job. We can even already see it right here in the preview before we go ahead and save the job. So if we want to start putting in items before assigning it to anybody, we certainly can. Otherwise, as I mentioned, if we go ahead and save the job, your technicians will see it right there on the job and can go ahead, click into it, and select the options that the customer wants. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, let us know, Larry. I'm not gonna try to end it. I'm gonna give everybody a minute and see if there's any other questions, requests before we go.
But yeah, again, just stressing that this can really ideally be used for just about any industry. As you saw, we did landscaping, we did cleaning, we did DJing. You can do it for just about anything. And that's obviously the great versatility that our system has.
Absolutely. Yeah, he says that helps. Good deal. All right. And if there's any pros too, if there's any pros in different industries we didn't talk about that are using pricing forms, if you're catching a glimpse of this, if you don't mind, share your experience, what you've been doing with them. It'll go a long way to help others. This is kind of one of those features that I don't think a lot of our pros necessarily know about. Some of them do, but a lot of them probably don't know about it. So just want to make more awareness as well. All right. I think that's all the questions. If there's any more that come through, we'll make sure to get them answered. Phil, really appreciate you being here every week. It's awesome. One of these days we'll have you do a DJ session for us or something too.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right. We'll see everybody next week. I'll announce a topic sometime. If you're interested in the webinar or anything I talked about, just drop it in the comments and we'll catch you guys later.
All right.
Bye, Phil.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.